Welcome to the Evergreen Wellness Podcast, dedicated to helping women and men create a life worth living longer. You can learn more about us at liveevergreen.com.
Hey everybody, this is Dave Dietz from Evergreen Wellness. Thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to be talking about purpose, how to find your purpose and how to sort of redirect your life, especially if you're over 55 years old and you've found yourself retired, you're not working anymore, kids are out of the house, you're wondering what's next. Okay, so with us today we have Gary Uremovich, MD. So Gary is a retired lieutenant colonel from the United States Air Force with 26 years of distinguished active duty. He's a seasoned physician assistant boasting 42 years of clinical expertise. He's also a prolific author and has self-published 12 books and is currently working on his latest book entitled Longevity on Purpose. His work reflects his deep engagement with issues of ageism, health, and purposeful living. He holds a master's degree in emergency medicine from the University of Nebraska and another master's degree in counseling from Vanderbilt University. Recently grappling with the profound loss of his wife of 47 years to a 9-year battle of ovarian cancer, he offers a unique and heartfelt perspective on resilience and finding meaning amidst adversity. So joining us now as he shares his wisdom and stories on health and longevity and living a purposeful life, I bring you Gary. Hi, Gary.
Hi there, Dave. Thank you very much for having me. And there's just one correction. I'm not an MD. And so physician assistants are very cautious about other people thinking they're a medical doctor. I've got a PhD, but I'm not an MD. But
I stand corrected. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, that's okay. And so I loved my career as a PA. And so I thoroughly enjoyed it. Being in the Air Force, I traveled around the world. And one of the hardest things for me, though, was losing my wife to her battle with ovarian cancer. And thank you for mentioning that, because that was a pivotal point in my finding purpose in life. But when she did die, I had retired early from medical practice. And so I was at a loss for who I was. No longer a clinician, no longer married. My best friend, my purpose for living was gone. And that was a devastating time for me. It was dark night of the soul. And so that's where this newfound awareness of our purpose comes from.
Wow. Well, that's a very sad story, Gary, and I'm very sorry about your loss. But you sent me an article before we got started here today. It was an article about Cher, the singer and movie star, who sounds like she sort of has given up on life, which I thought was really pretty profound, because somebody with her background and her accomplishments, I think she's like 80 years old now. If she gives up on life, she's lost her purpose with all of her accomplishments. What does that say? That sort of is like a little scary for the rest of us who've not nearly accomplished as much as she has. What's your take on what's going on with her?
Right. What she said was, I have lived too long, in a very depressed way, as if she is giving up. That's because past accomplishments don't give us purpose for tomorrow. And so what I've done in the past, my career as a PA, my career in the military, my prior editing experience, my prior teaching experience, all that is great. But that has nothing to do with my purpose for being here right now. And so I think that resonates with people, that they suddenly look around and say, what's next? Nothing. I have no reason for being here. And Cher is a good example of that. She is so accomplished, and yet there is more. She is a human being with an incredible dynamic, and she needs to embrace that, as we do. We need to embrace who we are, and our experiences create a way for us to move forward.
So is it easier said than done to embrace yourself, to get that deep and explore how to embrace yourself?
One of the things that happened to me is that after my wife died, unfortunately, I really lost it. I decompensated. I didn't want to think anymore, and the best way for me not to think was to binge drink, and so I did that, and so I was destroying myself. I really didn't want to be around because I had no reason for being here. It's easy to say, well, just reflect. But unfortunately, when we reflect, we start to have these negative feelings about where we've been, the dreams we had that never occurred. We never fulfilled our destiny as we thought. Well, who's to say you can't do that now? You see, before you had to live according to somebody else's agenda.
Right.
Oh, your agenda is your agenda.
Yeah. I know that when I was in that self-reflecting mode, I also had my dark night of the soul, as you mentioned, where I automatically went to was all my failures, not my accomplishments, and found myself just swirling downward because of that.
So I think we need other people. God said this. God said in Genesis, it is not good for man to be alone. I was alone and I was drowning. And so finding other people that are supportive, I think that's the key, whether it's in a small group, whether it's in a church activity, whether it's just a couple of friends, help me see myself through your eyes. What do you see? And that helped me.
Right.
And so finding other people that are going to be positive. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of people that are going to tell you all the negative stuff. They're going to say, you don't got no skills. You can't do this. You can't do that. Those are the people to avoid. And I'm sure you've seen people like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. There were people that I definitely made a tough decision and had to cut them right out of my life because they were just not helpful at all. They were doing more harm than they were doing good. I don't think they meant to, but so you went to church. Is that how is a spiritual epiphany or a spiritual journey a good way to pull yourself out of that?
I don't think we pull ourselves up. Relationship either with the higher purpose, and God as you know God, and people. And so I don't think we can do it on our own. I think we need people. At the AA meeting, they're there because they know they need other people to be accountable to. And so I think you can't pull yourself up. You need others, and you need to be involved with other people. And then once I was involved with somebody else that loved me and knew me and wouldn't let me feel sorry for myself, then I could see the positive things. It was like a reflection that if somebody else sees what's positive in you, then suddenly you can see it. It's like a mirror that someone else is holding up to you, and they're reflecting back the good stuff they see.
Right.
And I think that's very empowering.
Yeah. So it sounds like you took action. Okay. Because sitting at home, drinking, salvation isn't going to come knocking on your door and sit introducing itself and say, "Come on, Gary, let's come with me, and we're going to start living life again." You had to take some type of action. How critical is that for somebody who's listening to the show and has just been, waiting for something to happen as opposed to taking some type of action, some initiative, and finding purpose and finding friendship and finding other people?
Yeah. Step out of your comfort zone. Be involved with other people. Step out into the place where people can see you and be with you. Find a support group. Find others that are available. And it can be a pastor at a church. It can be friends that are next door. But find people and allow yourself to be involved with them. Sorry about that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally does. It totally does. I know that one of the things you talked about in another conversation was intergenerational type of connections, which I found very helpful. Now, speaking of that, how do you reestablish an intergenerational relationship with your grandkids or nieces and nephews, great nieces and nephews, without coming across like our grandparents did, who may have sat there and criticized your hair or gave a disapproving look at the way you dressed? Your hair was too long, you're too scrubby looking, that demonic music that you listen to. How do you not make that attempt to be to mingle with the intergenerational crowd without it backfiring on you?
Right. The thing to do is to let them know, not through words, but let them know that you're interested in them as a human being. That if you love others and you're loving towards them, that should be the goal, for you to love others, whether it's your children, grandchildren, that you're there in order to enjoy them. Because you're right, if you sound like the needy uncle, people are going to say, "Whoa, this is heavy," and so I'm not his therapist.
Right.
So we can't go to family or even friends with this needy attitude. Instead, we need to realize that part of a relationship is for us to love them in an unconditional way. It's not a quid pro quo that you listen to me, I listen to you. Instead, it is to give ourselves to others. And that's easier said than done as well, especially when we're feeling like we're kind of empty. I have nothing to give. But loving another person, it's amazing how that creates positive feelings and self-love as well. When we can love someone else, then that allows us to love ourselves more.
Boy, you really struck a chord with me there, because that is true. That is really true. It all starts with love and acceptance and not being critical of other people as well. That's probably the hardest thing, is that being critical of other people is what prevents us from really making that connection with them. Just let it go. If they're different, if their political views are different than you, if their style is different than you, if their way of dealing with life is a little bit different from you, just let it go and just love them for who they are. It's great to make those connections with all types of people.
In fact, we should seek out people that are different than us. We need to have a curiosity about the human psyche and want to know more about who people are and what their experiences are. We need to be engaged with others so that we can have a conversation. Let me give you an example that I might not need another job in order to earn money, but a part-time job might be something that gets me out of the house. And because of that, I'm engaged in a conversation with others.
Yeah. What are some action steps that people could take, right now? What's the first step?
The first step is get out of yourself. That if we become self-centered, self-focused, that only ends in negativity. And so we need to see the world as being an incredible place that we need to step into. And so get out of ourselves. For some people, that could be difficult. There are so many avenues for us to engage in conversations with other people. Secondly, go to the local place of worship, whether it's a mosque, a synagogue, or a church. Go there and allow people to know who you are and to be involved with them.
Yeah.
One of the things that Vivica, my wife, has told me is that she loved being involved in Meals on Wheels.
Wow.
She would take meals to people that were shut-ins, and she'd go to the door, and very often the person that she was talking to, that was their highlight of the day, having a conversation with the person delivering the meal.
Sure.
And she'd spend maybe 10 or 15 minutes talking with them. The task was not just delivering the meal. The task was making connection with that person on the other side of the door.
Yeah.
And so work for Meals on Wheels. If you can drive people to their destination. And while you're doing it, have a conversation. Studies have shown that for us to live longer in a healthier way, we need human connection.
Yeah.
We need to connect with other people. So I think that's the first step. And then self-reflect on what can I do? Where can I go in order to make a difference?
Yeah. I think you're spot on about the human connection and making just some type of conversation with people. A story I could share with you is that during the pandemic, I got my insurance license and I was selling Medicare insurance for a large insurance carrier. And a lot of we couldn't ask them personal questions about their health because of HIPAA regulations, but there were ways that you could start the conversation to sort of figure out where they are at health-wise so you can sort of find the plan that would be right for them. It's called a needs analysis. But during that process, that's where I really thrived in that process because you're engaging in a meaningful, deeper conversation while you're learning about people. And it was really, I could tell that it was really meaningful for some of my callers that we were having this conversation. They stayed on the phone with me for a long time. And I was not supposed to stay on the phone with them that long. I was supposed to close that deal and make that sale. But I enjoyed the conversation. And it's really how I discovered part of my purpose was through that job. That purpose sort of came up and discovered me, actually.
Yes.
Just by having these meaningful conversations with people. That's the biggest takeaway from that job. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't like the quotas and I didn't like the sales pressure, but I really enjoyed the conversations that I had with people. And I know that it meant a lot to them. So that's why you and I are talking right now. I think that we're having a great time communicating. And, you reminded me, I'll circle back to my Medicare sales days. There was a program that I believe was available. It's called Silver Sneakers, and that is free gym membership to anybody with either an Advantage plan or a supplemental plan. The insurance carriers offer that Silver Sneakers. I'm pretty sure it's available to all senior citizens who have a supplemental plan or the Advantage plan.
Right.
But I used to use it as a selling feature because it is an amazing organization. It's free gym membership. You can go to the gym anytime you want. So there's a $35 a month savings you're getting right there. But the most important thing about it was that they had these classes during the day that would be designed for people that were 55 up. So they were like low impact, but challenging enough to where you would, get a good sweat going and probably be a little bit sore the next day. But it was something that you could put on your calendar. It was something that you felt like you had a purpose. You have something to do that day. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to take my Zumba class or my chair yoga class. I'm going to see Helen or Bill or these people that I've sort of made relationships with. And after class, we're going to talk a little bit. And I'm going to either lose weight or get healthier or, get stronger. And there was just, from what I can see, there was no downside to it. It just checked all the boxes. So you might want to call, I would say to our listeners, if you're interested in something like that, look at your plan, look at the specifics of your plan and see if it offers it. Take advantage of that. It's free, 100% free. And you have access to the whole gym. So even afterwards, you can take a sauna or if there's a pool, an indoor pool, you could swim, all that kind of stuff. So is there any other like organizations that you think? So we covered like Silver Sneakers, we covered Meals on Wheels, maybe going back to work part-time, conversations.
As far as Silver Sneakers, Vivek and I are members of that as well. And
Okay.
I really appreciate you mentioning that because that is so important. But also talking with a neighbor about going for a walk together. And so physical activity is so important. So finding different ways that you could walk with others or be with others. And so church groups, that's a good way to go. Senior citizen centers, check with them, and they might have resources as well.
Yeah.
But we need to get out, and we need to be more active.
Yeah.
And also, if you have an Apple Watch, you could check to see how many steps you have. And so make it a goal to have at least 4,000 steps. We used to say 10,000 is the magic number. Studies have shown that if you walk at least 4,000 steps a day, then you'll have good cardiac output, and that'll be very healthy for you. Your longevity will increase just by 4,000 steps a day. So you don't have to be a marathon runner to have activity level that is going to be very helpful for you.
Yeah.
But look around for different resources. And so I think the Senior Center, that's a good place to start because they'll know what resources are in that particular area.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's when you really put yourself out there, if you just take a minimum of action, just open the door and go out of the house. There's a park near my house that I walk to. And after about 4 or 5 days, you start to see that there's regulars there, and you first couple of days you nod at each other and smile, and you see them again, and then maybe you say good morning, or then the next couple of days maybe you stop and start to chat with them. That's exactly what happens to me when I go to the park. And one thing too is that on my walks, which I love to do, I walk by a Lutheran church. Now, I'm not even really a very religious person at all, but there was a beautiful Lutheran church that I walk by all the time. And one day they had a sign out that said, meditation every Wednesday at noon. So I love to meditate. That's probably the extent of my spiritual practice.
Sure.
But as soon as I went in there, I started making connections with people. There were other people that were curious about me. They wanted to invite me to a Sunday service, which I did go to. This Sunday, they invited me to a breakfast. So the connections happen. They're not all that difficult. They just start to happen. If you just take action, move your feet, move your legs, open the door and go outside.
Absolutely. Yeah, well said. We need to just get out of ourselves. That means leaving the front door and going out.
Yeah. Well, Gary, this has been a great conversation. I love chatting with you. I want to ask our viewers to please respond. This show is for you. This podcast is for you. We want you to participate in it as much as you can. Tell us your feedback. Tell us what's important to you. And, we'll try to find something that is going to, to resonate with you. So I want to thank everybody for watching today. And hopefully we'll see you next time. We're going to leave those links on down below in the description. Also, if you could join, I hate to say this, everybody says that if you watch YouTube all the time, they're asking you to hit the like button and subscribe. I never thought I would actually say that, but please hit the like button and subscribe. This will help us out a lot, and it'll get us more valuable information from you. And more importantly, please write back to tell us what you want to hear about. Okay? So, Gary, thank you again. Any farewell message to our viewers?
Be well and be active and stay positive.
Yeah. Amen to that, brother. Amen to that. Stay positive. All right, folks. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.